the deepest part of the jungle, there lives a young elephant. His name is Eleanormous T. Dumphinormous. Quite a mouthful, I'm sure you'll agree. That's why all of his friends simply called Eleanormous plain old Dumphy. Dumphy liked his nickname, and Dumphy liked his friends even more. There was Cheemee the chimpanzee. Cheemee liked to boast to Dumphy that he was the best at anything he tried to do. When Dumphy asked if Cheemee could jump from tree to tree, Cheemee would laugh and boast that he could do it with his eyes closed. And to prove it, he did. When Dumphy asked Cheemee if he could paint pictures, Cheemee bragged that some of his paintings hung in a famous museum. Deep down, Dumphy suspected that Cheemee was stretching the truth, but he would just smile at Cheemee and say, "That's nice." He wasn't envious of Cheemee at all. He was envious of Zeppo. Zeppo was a sleek zebra who stood tall and proud, and he had what Dumphy thought were the best and coolest stripes he had ever seen. Dumphy was short and round and clumsy. He was always tripping over his own trunk, and worst of all, he was gray and plain. Gray and plain. Secretly, Dumphy wished that he had stripes like Zeppo. One day, Dumphy was sitting on the bank by the watering hole, taking drinks, spraying the brush with water from his trunk. He may have been gray, but he was feeling very blue. He looked up to see Cheemee heading his way, swinging from branch to branch. "Hey, Dumph, old buddy," Cheemee squeaked. "What's the matter with you?"
"Oh, nothing," Dumphy said with a sigh. "I'm just feeling a little plain and gray today."
"Plain?" Cheemee questions, with his head tilted to one side.
"Yeah, plain and gray," Dumphy said. "I was just thinking how great it would be to have really cool stripes like Zeppo's."
"Stripes, you say?" Cheemee smiled. "Stripes? My friend, you've come to the right man. I mean, Chimp."
"What do you mean?"
Dumphy looked up. "I can fix you up with stripes, Dumph, you pathetic pachyderm. Didn't I tell you that I was an artist? I'll paint the biggest and bestest stripes ever on you."
"Bestest?"
Dumphy asked. "You know what I mean," chimed Cheemee.
"You can do that?"
Dumphy wondered. "You bet. Let's get started. Come on." Cheemee began to swing from branch to branch. It was all that Dumphy could do to keep up as he tromped and stomped through the thickest part of the jungle. Dumphy kept looking up to make sure he didn't lose Cheemee. Dumphy was getting excited. He had always wanted his own set of stripes. At last they arrived in the clearing in the middle of the jungle where all the other chimpanzees lived. "Hang on, buddy," Cheemee chimed as he swung to the top of the tree he called home. Dumphy watched as all the chimps swung from tree to tree, all chattering and laughing. Dumphy smiled as Cheemee dropped back down in front of him. He was holding 2 cans of paint and a big paintbrush clutched in his teeth. "Vish-a-shoot," mumbled Cheemee.
"What?"
Dumphy asked.
"Oh, wait. Take the brush out of your mouth."
Cheemee did as he was told. "Oh, yeah, sorry, Dumph," Cheemee laughed. "I said, let's get started." And so began the transformation of plain old gray Dumphy into something Dumphy hoped would be spectacular. And the rest of that afternoon and long into the night, Cheemee painted Dumphy from head to toe. First a little black, then a touch of white. There was a full moon that night, and it was a good thing, too. Cheemee used every last drop of moonlight to see every last drop of paint to cover his friend Dumphy. As the morning sun started peeking over the mountains at the edge of the jungle, Cheemee announced that he was finished at last.
"Really?"
Dumphy shouted, and he jumped up and down. The ground shook, and several chimps fell from their tree branches.
"Oops, sorry everybody,"
Dumphy apologized. He turned to Cheemee.
"So how do I look?"
"Dumph, old chump, you look marvelous," Cheemee squeaked. Dumphy looked up at the other chimpanzees and was shocked to see them all pointing at him and rolling with laughter.
"What?" Dumphy shouted. What's so funny?"
"You!" they all roared. Dumphy tried to look over his shoulder to get a look at Cheemee's artwork, But that's not an easy thing for an elephant to do. He ran into the jungle towards the watering hole. He walked up to the edge of the pond and looked at his reflection in the water. Oh, sure, Cheemee had painted Dumphy with white and black lines just fine, but instead of stripes, Dumphy was covered completely with white and black squares.
Squares!
Yelled Dumphy. He lifted his head and gave a loud roaring blast from his trunk.
What's the trouble, Bub?
Asked a voice from behind. Bub? Dumphy knew who always called him that. Zeppo the Zebra. Embarrassed, Dumphy turned to face the object of his envy.
Hi,
Dumphy managed finally. What on earth happened to you? Zeppo asked. What's with the squares?
Well, it's kind of a long story.
Dumphy hung his head and kicked the ground.
But I sort of wanted to have stripes like you. I guess Cheemee doesn't know a stripe from a square.
Zeppo shook his head and gave a laugh. Wait a minute. You wanted to have stripes like me? Why? Asked Zeppo.
Because you look so cool,
said Dumphy.
I wanted to be cool, too.
Zeppo laughed again.
What's so funny?
Dumphy asked. You, laughed Zeppo. You wanted stripes to be like me? And all the time, I wanted to be plain and gray like you. I hate my stripes.
You do?
Asked Dumphy. I always have, Zeppo admitted. Everywhere I go, I stick out like a sore thumb. I want to blend in, like you. Dumphy smiled from ear to ear. He had no idea that the zebras he had envied were actually envious of him. One thing, though, Bub, Zeppo chuckled.
What's that?
Dumphy asked. Nobody is going to be envious of your new squares. Zeppo nodded towards Dumphy's paint job. What are we going to do about them? They heard a sound from above and looked up to see Cheemee hanging from the branch over their heads. Hey, Dumphy, he chirped. Sorry about the paint job, but I do squares so much better than stripes.
That's all right, Dumphy shouted back. Turns out I don't need stripes at all. But Cheemee, I don't need squares either. What can I do?
Oh, that's simple. I should have told you. Don't worry. That paint will wash right off with water. Dumphy smiled. He looked at Zeppo. Zeppo grinned from ear to ear. You thinking what I'm thinking, Bub? Zeppo asked. 1, 2, 3. On 3, Dumphy and Zeppo leaped into the pond. Hey, wait for me! Cheemee squealed with laughter as he did a perfect swan dive into the pond from his branch. The 3 friends laughed and splashed and laughed some more. And as the paint faded away from Dumphy, he smiled, happy that he was exactly who he was. Plain and gray, Eleanormous T. Dumphinormous.